Okay. So another question from Bill Holstein. And he asked, to what extent is the problem the explosion of technology? And that has, created billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Have governments failed to manage the explosion of technology? Is that part of the problem?
Yeah, that's definitely part of the problem. But again, often not accidental. I mean, one of the stories I tell in my book, it's familiar to some, but not enough, is, for a long time, we were governed by real antitrust enforcement, going back to the time when the robber barons saw their giant monopolies broken up and into the New Deal. And then beginning in the late 70s, and then especially under Reagan in the States, we lifted antitrust enforcement in the name of efficiency and scale. And this didn't happen by accident. I mean, Robert Bork was a law professor at the University of Chicago, the hotbed of neoliberalism, who had this very far from the mainstream idea that any merger that didn't immediately result in higher prices for consumers, the government shouldn't be involved. We should just step aside and let it happen. And now we live in a time when very savvy tech companies like, Google and Facebook most prominently are giving away their products for free to consumers. So if your focus is purely on what's the consumer paying, there's no harm to any of what they're doing. And this is why, Lina Khan, who's this young incoming chair of the Federal Trade Commission, who famously wrote this Yale Law Review article about Amazon several years ago, is now seeking to reclaim traditional antitrust law and update it for the modern age from the Bork mentality that has dominated. Yeah, there's no question that the technologists have outrun the capacity of government, and business models have gotten more and more effective. But that's about very smart Davos men figuring out how to manipulate the system so they end up with more of the gains for capitalism. And that's what we've got to solve if we're going to have any hope of solving the really huge problems like climate change and the erosion of middle-class security.